Hey, it's Dan Moralez. This is Homebuyer Radio. This is episode number 129. Hey, this week what I want to talk about is I want to talk about changing jobs. What happens if you change jobs while you're in the process of getting a mortgage? The first thing I can tell you is, ideally, don't do that. If you want to change jobs, you hate your job and you want to change it and do something different, don't do that, ideally while you're in the mortgage process. If you want to do that after you close, that's totally up to you. If you do it during the mortgage process, you could potentially create a number of problems for yourself in doing that, okay? Now, that's especially true if you're going from one field to another field that is maybe not related to what you do currently, and or if you're going from, let's say, a salary basis to some form of variable compensation. Maybe it's commission-based income or something like that. Those kinds of changes are things that can have a really big impact in your ability to be able to get a mortgage. And so before you do anything with changing jobs while you're in the process of getting a loan, it is really important to make sure you have a really long conversation with your loan officer to make sure that what you're contemplating doing isn't going to pose a problem for you as part of what you're doing. Now, in the 28 plus years that I've done this, I've had plenty of clients that have changed jobs. Okay, so don't get me wrong. We have this happen on I don't want to say a regular basis, but we've had it happen enough times where, a client starts the mortgage process working for XYZ company, and then next thing you know, you find out that they're working for ABC company because they didn't tell you as part of this process. So it's really important that, you don't rock your financial world while you're in the mortgage process, okay? If there's something, big like that you're contemplating doing or contemplating a big change, it's really, really important that you have a conversation with us before you do that. Pardon me. Before you do that, because you changing jobs, while you may think it's something that is going to be a good change for you, it could be something that just blew your entire transaction up. So really important that you have that conversation with us and we can talk about that, because it could be something that comes back and it becomes a problem when you really didn't think it'd be a problem. Now, like I said, with that being said, plenty of clients have done it. There are times where you have a job opportunity that's just too good to pass up. Usually if it's too good to pass up or it makes sense for you to do it, it's probably going to make sense to us too. And we're probably going to be okay with it as long as we understand your compensation and the details with your employment, okay? So really important that you have that conversation before you make a big change like that, because we really just don't want to see you get yourself in a jam because you didn't have that conversation. Now, it kind of leads me to the second part of this, which is, if you're going to make a change in a job, or you're going to do something else that is a big change in your financial picture, it is really important that you let us know about that before you do it. If you're going to pay off a car, or you're going to buy a new car, or you're going to increase the debt on a credit card, or you're going to use money to pay down a credit card. Now you might think, why does that matter if I took money out of my bank account and paid down my credit card? Well, for some clients, those assets that you have in the bank are part of how we got you approved. If you go through and use those assets to turn around and pay something else off, and now you no longer have those assets, you may have jeopardized your approval. So sometimes, there are clients who are just right on the fence. You're right in that gray area where if the wind blows a certain way, you could lose your ability to qualify for the mortgage. So it's really important that you just don't do anything big, any big changes in your financial picture, not only during the loan process, with a job, but, just don't spend money that you shouldn't spend. Don't rock the financial picture, because I don't want to see you jeopardize yourself in your mortgage approval because you made some kind of change, or you bought a new car, or you charged something on a credit card, or you transferred a balance on a credit card, or something like that, where you increased, your overall indebtedness, and now all of a sudden we have an issue. Now, how do we know these things, right? Like, how does the bank know if I change my job? I gave you my pay stub. I gave you my W-2. You already checked my verification of employment. How do you know I changed jobs? Because prior to closing, most lenders are going to call your employer and they're going to verify you still work there. Okay, so if we verified all your information, you're like, cool, I can quit now and go take my new gig. No, you can't, because we're going to call and verify your employment again prior to closing. Now, same thing is true with credit. Okay, we're going to pull your credit report again, typically just prior to closing, and we're going to look to see if you accumulated any new debt. or if you have any new inquiries for debt or anything like that. So, it's important to make sure you don't do those things because they, at best can delay your closing, but they could potentially put you in a situation where you're no longer eligible for a mortgage. So these are all things that you can do that impact you negatively and can cause a problem. A lot of times people will say, well, I didn't know quitting my job would cause a problem. Well, what caused you to think it wouldn't cause a problem? If you didn't tell the lender, you didn't have a conversation with us, you don't talk to us about these really important life changes that you make, they can have a huge impact on you on the mortgage side. So it's really important that we have these conversations. We talk about these things and we make sure that we have you squared away before you make big life-changing decisions. Okay. Hey, my name is Dan Moralez. I go by Dan, America's Mortgage Man. Phone number is 616-931-4629. My NMLS number is 709-729. You can find me online at danmoralez.com, DANMORALEZ.com. Hey, do me a favor, go on iTunes and leave us a review. If you can share the podcast, that's also a huge benefit to us. Obviously I do this, one of the biggest reasons I do it is because it helps me to provide for my family, right? I do it to write loans and to generate new clients and new relationships, with clients throughout the country. But we also, of course, do it to educate you and help you better understand the mortgage process so that you can feel better about the decisions you're making when you're buying a house. I still believe, in the American dream of home ownership. I think it's a great thing to own a house, and we'd love to help you get there. Okay. Again, my name is Dan Moralez. You can find me at danmoralez.com, DANMORALEZ.com. And of course, Northpointe Bank is an equal housing lender.